Friction in the supply chain. Joining us today to speak about that, Matt Fain, CEO and co-founder of Pop Capacity. Matt, it's good to see you. Welcome.
It's great to see you, Russell. Thanks for having me.
Matt, let's define our terms. If we're going to talk about friction in the supply chain, just what exactly does that mean? I think we've all heard about complex supply chains and that sort of thing, but
Yeah.
here's a new term for some of us. So a frictionless supply chain, what would that be?
I mean, if we look at, we see it in the headlines, the news articles, there's bottlenecks, there's friction points all throughout the supply chain, whether it be at port services or at dock doors, right? There's friction all over the place, some of which is necessary friction, some of which is not necessary. Our goal, and I think every supply chain professional's goal, is to identify the friction points that can be really resolved by leveraging some technology in the mix. So it's really just the bottlenecks that we're incurring, and that what everybody's reading about, why products aren't on the shelves, that's the friction that we speak about.
Well, you know, it's no secret that we have experienced, let's just say, pain points in the last couple of years, brought on, of course, by the pandemic.
Right.
Since then, this supply chain crisis that we're seeing globally, major issue affecting everybody. So we all know about these pain points. That presumably is the kind of thing that you're talking about here.
Correct, precisely. Yeah, there's all sorts of challenges because it's an evolving industry, right? So we're seeing some traditional old methods and old processes revamped with some new technologies and newer processes to accommodate the way that people are buying, right? So pre-pandemic, we were seeing a shift in e-commerce services, right? So direct delivery to your doorstep. The pandemic hit and that spiked. Now everybody is expected to have a service that offers direct to consumer deliverables, right? So not only are we changing, I think the supply chain in general is changing the way that it moves product. And with change comes concern, comes friction points, comes areas of that. But we have technologies today that can help us pull us out of that. And I think that just understanding what technologies and where it can be applied and what application, which node of the supply chain, is crucial to really revamping what we're doing as supply chain professionals.
I want to get to those technologies because I think that's going to be very, very important to our discussion. But, you know, you mentioned something that I think we need to stress. The situation that we were following prior to the shutdown with the ramp up in e-commerce really went into high gear, of course.
That's right.
Once the lockdown took place. And I mean, it just became stratospheric. And with that, with the volume of orders, was this incredible crunch on what it was that people were able to do in terms of fulfilling that orders.
Correct.
Describe that scenario for us before we talk about the technologies that are needed to get us out of that, because to some extent we're still dealing with that.
No, we are, and I think it was just the preparation. We weren't prepared. The warehousing fulfillment providers, the logistics providers, the supply chain in general wasn't prepared for this large shift. We went from a more B2B style applications where you go to a storefront to purchase your product. Well, the person shipping that product in, it was a palletized good and it was going to a retail store, a more commercial industrial type application. But now it's got to go to a doorstep, which is going to require closer fulfillment centers to the consumer group, smaller assets to get it to the doorstep, right? You're not going to pull a 53-foot dry van into a residential neighborhood. It's not going to happen. So I think we're seeing that, you know, those changes, whether it be from infrastructure, equipment, we just weren't ready for it. But now the technologies are flying. We're going to discuss some of the technologies that are beneficial and that are truly eliminating some of these pain points that we're seeing.
Well, let's get right to that because I know the viewer is interested because I'm feeling the pain that Matt is describing here. So the technologies that I need to alleviate, maybe not just mitigate, but get rid of the friction that he's been describing, what are they?
So a digital marketplace. This is one technology that I see being very valuable in the supply chain. A digital marketplace is adding transparency and visibility to what is available, and it's aggregated all in a single platform. So from shoes to cars to food, we use a marketplace in everyday life. I think the supply chain is now slowly adopting some of these technologies. Look in digital freight brokerage, right? You can now procure a 53-foot dry van at your fingertips, right? You can procure a warehouse capacity at your fingertips. You can procure final mile capacity at your fingertips. We're slowly starting to see that the marketplace can be a very, very big tool for us to use to have that enhanced visibility, to have that enhanced connectivity, but to do it on our own pace, right? And I think that's super important because everybody wants to do things at their own pace right now, right? We live in this kind of virtual world where we can do things remotely, we can do activities as needed. Having the ability to view things openly and get all the information you need in one aggregated site is super important. Data, right? With the marketplace comes a ton of data and information to review. So a lot of companies out here are using the data and insights to create a better buying experience or a better procurement or sourcing experience. Optimization studies is something that's really big right now because of the big swing from B2B type distribution into a more D2C e-commerce situation. Really understanding the information that you have at your fingertips and analyzing it, technology can be used there too. There's a lot of good BI tools that you can use. There's a lot of good service providers that offer optimization type studies to help enhance you during this transitional period.
All of which is going to help mitigate or eliminate the friction that we've been talking about. But let me ask you this question. It's clearly important to have visibility into all of this. And so as we speak about these technologies here, how are they helping me get the needed degree of visibility that I have to have if I'm going to have a smoothly operating supply chain? What do you
It's all about the information, right, that's embedded in that technology. So the more information and data that we're able to receive, the more we can analyze, the more that we know, right? Seeing and understanding what your length of haul is, what your cost per mile is, where your inventories need to be located is super important, right? In order to really create a new successful distribution strategy. Data is the only way to do that, right? We can assume all day long, but we know where assumption get us in supply chain. Not very far. We've been assuming for a long time. And I think that's where we're in the position we are now, where we're in this evolution stage. And it's a very exciting stage, but we need to harness all the technology, data analytics that we can to make a really robust, meaningful solution.
Most interesting, most interesting. Matt, anybody who is watching this and says, I like what I'm hearing from Mr. Fain, but I'm not altogether sure I know that much about his company, what it is they're doing, what specifically their focus is. Well, talk to them. Tell us a little bit of something about the company. More specifically, what is Pop Capacity doing to help enhance or optimize the operations of your customer base?
Yeah, absolutely.
What do you say?
So first of all, we're a pandemic-born company. So we started at the very beginning of the pandemic. So being remote and virtual and using technology to help us excel is in our DNA, right? So we are the first true digital marketplace for warehousing and fulfillment space. We leverage AI, we leverage virtual touring to help shippers navigate the journey of finding the right 3PL. For example, if you're a food grade fulfillment type shipper looking for that type of warehouse in Houston market, that market may not be good because it's controlled by the PVF world, by the oil industry, right? Food grade space is not predominant in that market. We're able to tell you exactly what's available in that market, the costs associated with that, and if it makes sense to make a pivot to another market that maybe is more food grade worthy. Once again, it's just, we've created a marketplace that has a bunch of warehouse supply and capacity in it. We've added visibility to the point where we know what kind of capacity they have, the services they offer, and we take it a step further with the virtual touring. So now if you are a software company sitting in Seattle looking for space in Nashville, Tennessee, you can procure and you can review it through a digital marketplace, walk around the facility in a virtual touring setting, and be able to create questions, educated questions, based on the insights that we've already provided you. Ultimately reducing your discovery experience, eliminating any sort of unknowns about it, right? Added awareness and added visibility to that procurement cycle. And a very important partner, right? This isn't a trucking partner that you have for a one-time transaction. This is a long-term partnership. So churning partnerships cost money. And we hope that our technology enables the shippers and the suppliers to connect in a digital, harmonious way.
What an interesting and important innovation, I must say. Matt, thank you so much for
Hey, thank
finding
you.
the time to speak with us. Great to do so. Thanks.
Thank you so much.
It's Matt Fain speaking with us today about supply chains and friction, how you might eliminate that in yours. Thanks for watching.